Okay. So my name is Emily Martinson, and I'm conducting an oral history interview as a part of an effort to archive the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on individuals and communities in the Midwest for both the Chippewa Valley COVID-19 Archive and the Journal of the Plague Year COVID-19 Archive. Today's date is November 25th. The time is now 11:09 a.m. As of now, there are a total of 60 million COVID cases worldwide and 1.41 million deaths. In the United States, there are a total of 12.7 million cases and 260,000 deaths. Today, I'm speaking with Nancy Wendt, Marge Bottoms, who will be joining us momentarily, Carin Keys, Wilma Clark, and CeCelia Zorn. All five ladies have ties to the Chippewa Valley Eau Claire region, where there are currently a total of 7,438 cases and 60 deaths in Eau Claire County and 4,420 cases and 49 deaths in Chippewa County. So, ladies, thank you for being here with me today virtually. I appreciate it. So the first thing we will start with, we can start with Nancy and kind of go around, I guess, if you just want to introduce yourself a little bit more, and then how I said the demographic info. So your age, your gender, your race, ethnicity, so that kind of thing. And if you forget what I asked, it's okay, because I will just remind you again. So Nancy, if you want to start, by all means, go ahead.
I am Nancy Wendt, and I am 62 years of age. I am white female, and my ethnicity is Swiss and English. I have been a retired teacher from the Eau Claire Area School District for about 7 years, where I worked for 34 years in this system as well.
Okay, thank you. Wilma, if you would like to go and introduce yourself.
I am Wilma Clark. I am a retired English professor from the University in Eau Claire. I forgot, let's see, demographic, yes.
Yes.
I am Caucasian. My ethnicity is Czech and German. Age, I'm in the high risk group. Can we leave it at that?
Totally fine.
High risk group.
Okay. Perfect. All right, CeCelia.
Thank you. I'm CeCelia Zorn, and I am in my healthy 60s. I'll leave it at that, based on Wilma's comment. I'm a retired professor from the university, and I'm also a registered nurse. I am Caucasian and have a Polish ethnic background.
Perfect, thank you. And Carin.
Hi, my name is Carin Keys. I am Caucasian. I am 41, and I guess my background is Swedish and Norwegian, so Scandinavian through and through. I am a stay-at-home mom, but I also am a speech language pathologist who works with the Chippewa Valley Aphasia Group. And I have two children that came to the concert we're going to be talking about. They are 11 and 7 daughters. And I've lived in the Chippewa Valley for about 8 years, but I went to school here for 4 years for my undergraduate. So I was here previously, left, and came back.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you for introducing yourselves. I appreciate it. So Carin, you mentioned the DEC concert, so we can jump right into talking about that. So when did you guys put on this concert? And any of you can answer.
August 6th of 2020.
Okay, perfect. So during the summer. So what inspired you all to come together to create something like this?
I think it was probably an effort to bring people and music together. I think people who were interested in community and relationships and sort of social connections, as well as people who appreciated music and like to listen to it and like to learn about it, and are expert and novice musicians. So it was really combining sort of people and music in an outdoor setting, maybe.
Okay. Let me think. I had some.
Emily, do you think we should kind of explain what the deck concert consisted of
Sure.
ahead of time for people who are going to be watching later?
Yes, that sounds great. So, Carin, if you would like to explain what the concert was, go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I did not plan the deck concert, but I did attend it. So I can explain kind of from my point of view what the deck concert was to me. It was a concert that was put on outside someone's house, Marge's house, actually, who isn't here yet. And it was where we had piano playing, flute, trio, and also singing. And so people were invited to sit around outside and listen to the music and have some snacks as well. Does that, anyone want to add anything more?
Add something. I was not involved in performing. I was invited to attend. And for me, it was a wonderful opportunity to do something outside my own house. Being in the high age group, as soon as we heard about COVID, and my husband is especially vulnerable to things, we took the rules to heart and we followed everything that we were supposed to very severely, trying to protect ourselves. So very seldom through March, April, May, June, July, did we have in-person contact with people. There were a few times, but here was an opportunity to actually come out of the house, go to a spot where there would be real people. The chairs were carefully separated in this huge big backyard, 6 feet apart. All the people there wore masks. There were neighbors on the other side of fences listening to the music also. So everybody was distant. I felt safe. And it was a remarkable time to be with other actual, not virtual, actual people. And it was a beautiful experience. So.
Wow, it sounds like it. Go ahead.
I was also feeling some urgency, like if we don't do this, pretty soon winter's going to be here and we're not going to be able to be outside. So initially I worked with Marge in doing some of the planning along with some of the musicians. And initially it was kind of end of July, and for some reason we needed to delay a little bit. And I was getting a little, not frantic, but thinking, oh my God, the snow is going to be coming and we won't be able to get together and be outside. So sort of the clock was ticking, if you will. And it seems funny to say that now because it was only August, but still there was that sense that I was feeling.
Well, and that makes sense too, because being in Wisconsin, winter likes to come early. So it makes sense. And, even if it wasn't going to snow, it gets cold.
Right.
It gets cold really quickly. And, nobody wants to be outside when the temperature is, not at a great, not at a great spot. So, no, I understand that. How long did it take to plan this concert?
Maybe just a month or so. I think it sort of came together naturally, and then, pardon me, and then grew with sort of integration of people and some of the details. So maybe just a month, 3-4 weeks.
That's pretty impressive still for how successful, the concert was. I mean, taking it a month, and I think especially too with all of the restrictions and safety measures that you have to take, it's not like a regular planning of sorts. You have to take all of these different things into account. So it's it's very impressive, I think. So, and then you said you spaced, everything was outside and all of the chairs were socially distanced and everyone still wore masks, even though it was outside. Okay. Was there anything else, like any other safety measures that were taken?
Typically, you'd like to have just snacks laying out for people to grab, but everything was prepackaged, or everyone had their like bottles of water were just there weren't like pitchers of things to have. It was all prepackaged. Things were away. Someone had made a beautiful program for us, and it was just laying in a basket so that we didn't have to hand out. Just trying to limit all of that contact that we would normally have at a concert, but still maintain the feeling of being a concert.
Right. Okay. And how many people attended? Or at least I guess you could say, because you had some people like behind their fences, in their own yards listening, like roughly how many people do you think attended?
I think there maybe were about 25 people, maybe
Okay.
somewhere in the 20s.
Okay.
And in addition to Nancy's comment about the prepackaged beverages and snacks,
Mhm.
the setup was that the musicians performed on a deck. So it was raised, maybe like 3 feet from the lawn seating area. So that felt safer also for the musicians who were performing without a mask while they were performing, of course. So there was that sort of maybe geographic setup that felt safer.
Mhm. Okay. And Wilma and Carin, you two were spectators in this concert. So did you feel safe attending this? With everything being socially distanced and all of these measures that were taken, did you feel safe and you were able to enjoy the performances and everything like that?
Yes, I definitely felt safe there. I I did a lot of taking pictures, and so I even was able to walk around and take pictures of everyone at the gathering, and I felt very safe. Everyone was respectful of each other, keeping their distance, but still being able to talk when there was downtime. I did not feel a sense of, I don't know, urgency to leave or anything like that. It was wonderful.
And what about you, Wilma?
Well, I agree with everything Carin says. And as soon as I was perched into my chair there and felt distant enough from everyone and with the masks, I forgot all about COVID. And I was concentrating on, it was just like a magical interlude in a dark time. And I was concentrating on the people. Of course, the music was beautiful. Let's just get that right out there. The music was beautiful. We had Beethoven, and then we had a break, and then we had Beethoven, then we had piano. We had Nancy doing a beautiful tribute to her mother who had passed away not so long ago. We had Wayne with heart touching singing because he is a person who has aphasia. And it's just a miracle that he, with CeCelia's support and Nancy's coaching, is able to sing so beautifully for a person who can barely speak. So that is a different topic. I guess we could talk about that for quite a while. Anyway, I was concentrating on all of these things and the connections of people. Many of CeCelia's friends from her nursing days were there. I didn't know all the people. I knew them. But even on the stage, I was thinking, I have connections with CeCelia because I have had some home recitals like this with her in my home with a small number of people and musicians. Nancy has played the piano in my house. for Wayne singing in my house. And I thought, oh, these dear people, here they are. I was thinking about that. And so the connections among the people and all of the friendliness I could feel behind the masks. We had the masks, but it was though the friendliness and the connections among the people were still being expressed very beautifully. It was kind of a miracle. I guess that's my word for it. I talked enough, but I
No.
really liked it.
I have to admit that when we first started thinking about this, and CeCelia said, "What do you think about it?" I was a little nervous just because of all of the restrictions needed for COVID. And needless to say, playing flute and singing are two what they call super spreaders, which is not really something that you really want to be at a concert with unless you really take those precautions. But once we got going into it and really thought it out, it wasn't like, well, let's just do this. There was a lot of thinking to this and how to be respectful and to be responsible amidst all of this. But I think the underlying tone of it always was there is so much power in music and just in the healing and the touching to be with other people that you don't have to have physical contact to touch people. And I think that was what kept me going, was that we're doing this not only for ourselves, but for the others to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's I really like that purpose behind it too, because, and I think you all could agree with me, masks have a barrier almost too, and you're just not seeing all of somebody, facial expressions and everything too, and you almost just, I think for me personally, especially, you do feel that sense of isolation from others, and that physical contact and just being around people. It's very hard. So I really appreciate how you all were able to, I guess, think outside of the box to figure out how you can still reach people in a different way. I think that's really beautiful.
Something unexpected that happened, and I will just share it, assuming Marge may comment on it when she joins us. But her brother and her sister-in-law, her brother's wife, were driving through Eau Claire, very unexpected, and she hadn't seen any of her family since the shutdown in March. And for her to welcome her brother and sister-in-law into this gathering was just absolutely so heartwarming, because this was the first family member she had seen. She had been very, very locked down, if you will, with trying to be careful because of her vulnerability. So it was sort of this spontaneous, unexpected piece of joy that happened for her. So there were some, those tidbits along the way.
Mm-hmm. Because it seems like to me that she wasn't expecting her brother to be driving through. Really?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really special.
Mm-hmm.
That's really special. Wow. Yeah, and especially for, taking the lockdown as seriously too. What would that be, months that she went without seeing?
Right. Yeah.
And that's hard, for some people. And I think especially, no matter if you're more introverted or extroverted or how you were, before everything shut down, it really is different for everyone. Say you do kind of keep to yourself or you don't visit people very often, but then now you really can, because there's these restrictions for our health in place. It's just different because you feel stuck. So, and that's hard. So it's nice to hear, of stories like that happening. Wow. Yeah, that's really special. So go ahead.
When you think about pre-COVID and then the post-COVID, with just family getting together or doing a deck concert like this or just being somewhere, it used to be you just did it. Oh, come on over or stop on by or let's just play this afternoon out on a deck. And now it's like everything has to be planned out, and you have to think of all the other pieces. That spontaneity, I think, is the one thing I have noticed is just gone. And in planning this was the same thing. Let's make sure we've got all the pieces of the puzzle in. So
Mhm.
whether it's family stopping by or concerts like that, that spontaneity has been gone.
Mhm. Definitely. And it's strange because I think, especially with the world, I guess, that we used to live in, we're so quick to make these decisions and plans and put things together, almost last minute. And now we can't do that anymore. But I mean, from the deck concert, that shows that that's okay, because, carefully planning things like that too, I mean, created something really, really great for yourselves and for your family members and community members. So, yeah. And Nancy, you said you played the flute and you sang. CeCelia, did you sing or play any instruments? No? Okay, I did.
No, I reacted to the singing. I don't sing, but I did play my flute. Yeah,
Okay.
part of the flute trio. Flute Evolution is Nancy, consists of Nancy and another flutist and myself. So the three of us played our flutes in a trio situation. And then I do some help with Wayne as well when he was singing because of his primary progressive aphasia that Wilma alluded to. Mhm.
Okay.
And the idea of planning, just takes on a whole life of its own, doesn't it? When Nancy was talking about planning, I was thinking, oh yeah, Nancy brought her portable, would you call it a keyboard, Nancy? Portable keyboard?
Electronic piano, yeah. It's a full electronic piano, but it's like thinking about the chord. Oh, the chair. Oh, a table to put it on. Oh, we got to have some kind of a microphone. Oh, stands. Oh.
Right. And all of that happened a week or two or so before the concert, and Nancy graciously brought the piano and checked out the setting and so on, just to make sure that things will be as good as they can be in the situation. So yeah.
Was that hard to rehearse at all? With social distancing? And again, since I mean, I play musical instrument myself, I play the clarinet. So it's just, I'm sure it's challenging just to, be mindful of, taking off your mask, I'm sure, playing your instrument. And then would you just, how did that process work for you both?
Well, for rehearsing, first of all, for Flute Evolution, our flute trio, we were at the home of the third flute player in our group, and she has a huge open concept, and so we were like 20, I think we measured it was like 20 feet away as we're trying to each in three different corners of her big great room try to practice inside. And then when we came to the deck concert, we were 6 feet, so it was much different. We actually had to adjust being closer to each other and reading each other through our arm motions and our face motions. But we would practice in that home, same place all the time, and we would be that far away, and we did that. Wayne and CeCelia, part of the time, we were able to come and work out on my front deck, and I would haul the electric piano out there, and we would practice out there outside as best we could. We also did FaceTime and tried to work through FaceTime. I would videotape myself singing the song for Wayne to practice. We'd send it to Wayne. They'd bring it up on FaceTime, and we would practice through that. So it was just readjusting, but we did it.
Right, adapting to what you had to do. Wow. And then going back to Wayne. Now, Wayne is your husband, CeCelia, from my understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you mentioned that he has aphasia. So I think when I flipped through the program, I think I read a little bit about it, but if anyone care to explain what aphasia is?
Wayne has primary progressive aphasia, and it's a degenerative brain disease that begins with loss of language. and then progresses through cognitive loss. And currently, Wayne was diagnosed 7 years ago, nearly 7 years ago, and his primary progressive aphasia is very severe, and he has essentially no speech now except for a repetitive phrase that he repeats thousands of times a day. But he's able to sing with time and practice and coaching that Nancy and his speech therapist provide. So his singing is still possible. So he was part of the program.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Carin and Nancy and Wilma, of course, have seen his skills and his progression and his ability to still do some things that he loves to do.
I'm assuming he sang before his diagnosis too.
He did, not professionally, just, for weddings and funerals. And he's always loved to sing, and he breaks out in song once in a while when he hears music on a virtual recording or something. So yeah, singing is his love, one of his many loves.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And how was that hearing him sing? I know, Wilma, you touched a little bit on how it was hearing him sing, but I mean, Carin, if you would like to talk about that too, just your thoughts. And
Sure. I've heard Wayne sing probably about maybe at 3 different times. And each time is the same. It's very moving. It's wonderful. As being a speech therapist myself, I just love to see people doing what they love. And he looks like he does it with ease. I'm sure it takes a lot of practice, but he does a wonderful job. My 2 daughters know CeCelia and Wayne as well, and they love going to see Wayne sing, and it moves them as well just to hear him sing, because when we talk with them in a different setting, Wayne doesn't use his speech, and so when he sings, they're just amazed about to hear his voice and the intonation. We love seeing Wayne sing, and the flute players were wonderful, and the piano and singing, just very moving.
so all around, just very touching, it sounds like.
Emily, this branches out a little bit, so tell me if we should not do this. But hearing about Wayne singing makes me want to mention 2 things. One is that there is in the Chippewa Valley a thing called the memory choir, and Nancy plays the piano for this memory choir. And then there is, of course, a director of the choir, and the people who sing in the choir have various conditions that make it difficult to sing, but they sing, and it's a very beautiful kind of concert to attend. It happens, I think, a couple of times a year when we're not in COVID. And Nancy can talk more about that, of course. Well, I'll stop now. Would you like to say anything more about that, Nancy?
I am the accompanist and assistant music director for Stand in the Light Memory Choir here in the Eau Claire area, which is for people with early to mid stages of memory loss or aphasia. And we combine them with a caregiver or a singing partner from the community to help them throughout the semester. We do give 2 concerts per year, and we allow that opportunity for people that are dealing with and living with memory loss to come out of isolation, to make some new connections, to make some new memories, to use music again as that power to heal. And that's how I met Wayne and CeCelia, was through, they joined the choir in 2018, and I was able to get to know them. And then CeCelia asked me whether I would be willing to help coach Wayne to see if we couldn't get him to sing at a recital that was being held at Wilma's place. So that's how the whole thing started, and I was like, yes, let's do this, let's figure this out. And then from there, even up all the way up to the deck concert, he is still sharing his love of music and bringing smiles to many people.
Wow. I really like that. That's it, you know, just hearing that music even just brought all of you together. Music and song. I really like that. CeCelia, you looked like you wanted to say something.
I know Wilma had another point as well. But when Carin was talking about Elise and Ginny, her daughters, enjoying Wayne's voice, and I do as well, you know, just because we practice pretty much every day or at least 5 times a week. And I just think, you know, now I get to hear Wayne's voice when he's singing. Otherwise, all day, I don't hear his voice except in his repetitive phrase. But now I go and get to hear his voice when he's singing, when we practice at home. So it's not really, you know, a grueling practice at all. It's joyful because I get to hear his voice in a different way. So it's so special in that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
So Emily, the other thing that I'd like to mention is I just saw the other day, and you might be interested in this because it is related to COVID. So if you have people who want to sing like Wayne and who have aphasia or other memory loss, other conditions, aphasia, I guess, is this group. How are you going to do it across geography? Can it be done virtually? Well, yes, it can. Because the other day I saw, and probably the others here also saw it, a wonderful performance of people like Wayne. Wayne was in it. He was singing. CeCelia was there standing by him as he was singing. I pictures across the screen. I saw this virtually. It was created virtually, and I saw it virtually. People from United States, Great Britain, Australia, Argentina, all singing together. It's a wonderful world.
Oh,
And so how did that happen? Well, we had people like CeCelia and Wayne here in Eau Claire practicing and practicing, and then making a video themselves of their piece. And they sent it in. And then all these other people sent in their videos from all around the world. And some wonderful technological person put all this together, and it seems as though all of the people are in the same room singing together. Maybe you've seen something like this. I've seen it a couple of times now, but it just is so remarkable what can be done even during COVID to continue these wonderful enterprises. So I thought I'd like to mention that to you.
yeah, I appreciate that. Go ahead, CeCelia.
And I was just going to emphasize, it's really, you know, music coaches and music teachers and speech language pathologists like Carin and her colleagues and the community aphasia group. And it's really just a network of people that make that possible, who come together in that way.
I am imagining that Nancy helped Wayne prepare for that. Is that true?
She did indeed. She did indeed, word by word, over and over and over, and using a variety of methods along with speech therapy. So it's really a combination of music expertise like Nancy's and speech therapy expertise like Carin and her colleagues, particularly Tanya Risky, who's our individual speech therapist. So yes, it's really, you know, the cliche, the village idea.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It was amazing to see. I just sat back and watched. I've been waiting for the premiere to come out, and when it did, I just sat back and watched, and all I could do is just smile and just think how wonderful this is. You know, just to see all of the people that were on it doing what they love to do, and the sense of accomplishment and success they had. It just warmed my heart.
I was just going to say it's very heartwarming.
And that it involves people, 55 people, I think, were sent in their recordings from 5 continents around the world. You know, the international flavor of that was just, for me, phenomenal. It just brings the whole world together around music in a beautiful way. Thanks for bringing that up, Wilma.
Well, and then the Chippewa Valley was represented. I think Chippewa Valley sunflower field here, and Wayne and CeCelia took a picture of, somebody took a picture of them in this sunflower field with these beautiful smiles and sunflowers. And that picture made the show too. So
Oh,
of our own
cool.
area got
Mhm.
in it.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And and you think about it too, if we weren't in the midst of everything that we are right now, I feel like those experiences getting to sing essentially with people from across the world, we might not get to do that day to day. So I think, so I think it's incredible that even though we're isolated in a sense, we can still find these connections, kind of like how we've talked about, and we have these opportunities, weirdly enough, that we might not have had, in other times.
Mhm.
Emily, I watch the news, I'm sure we all do, and I try to absorb the horrible things that are happening for people in their illness and in their death and in their poverty and in their not getting a paycheck and not having health insurance. And I try not to forget because I feel personally so fortunate that I can pay my bills and that we haven't had the disease yet. But anyway, so I try to remember all of that. And yet, I can't help but realize that once in a while, something good has come out of this COVID thing. And we have just been talking about some wonderful things that have happened. And I wanted to mention that in our own family, we have a small family, only 6 people, 2 daughters, 1 son-in-law, 1 granddaughter. And we're very close. We're always, or we used to fly across the country or drive across often to see each other and be together and do things together. But I didn't realize until this COVID thing that we never really talked that much. And now we started back in March doing a family Zoom for at least an hour, once or twice a week. And we have never had such wonderful conversations. And I am getting to know my people, my very own people, so much better. And I think this never would have happened without COVID, because when we get together, we're always busy, do stuff, go places, make plans. And so I mentioned that there are probably other bright spots for people. Even though we would never have wished it to happen, there are some bright spots.
Definitely. Do any of you have any like bright spots, like how Wilma said? Like, have you seen any silver linings like through all of this? I mean, I know the Deck concert was a very big one, but I don't know if there's any other experiences or moments that you would like to touch on.
I know, and speaking back with even our Standing Light Memory Choir, we've kept that going virtually. So we have our virtual rehearsals every Thursday. We are now stopped until we meet again in January, but they did host a virtual showcase sort of concert about a week ago, and we did similar things of having most of our people record and being a part of that and showcasing a little bit about the choir. So again, because we couldn't meet in person, and it's such an important piece for people to see, at least virtually we can see each other. I think many times prior to COVID, everyone was texting or emailing, and you never saw the face. And I think that's the one thing with virtual and Zoom and these kinds of things. We now get to see the face again and be able to talk to people that way. And there's something about seeing that facial expression or the eyes or the body language. And I think that's been very helpful. I know my mother-in-law has suffered a stroke and was tested positive too for COVID, but is in an assisted living, and we've not been able to really see her since this all happened. And we know that lack of contact, that lack of seeing, that lack of speaking, and she's unable to use a phone. So it's very difficult. We keep thinking, it's just hard to know what's going on and make sure that she continues to be happy.
Yeah.
I have an experience to share.
Go ahead.
Back in the spring when schools closed and went online, sort of, they weren't as organized as they are this year, but we had an opportunity to be in touch with our family in Germany. We had a foreign exchange student stay with us when I was in high school. And because of, the time difference, we weren't able to do a lot of talking or have our kids talk to each other. So in the spring, we set a time every week and we would FaceTime or Messenger with each other, and our kids would play games back and forth. So we'd get out, like the Guess Who game, or we'd send each other the same thing so that each of us had a board and we could play back and forth. And we were able to do it because we would do it in the morning and they would do it in the afternoon then. And we hadn't done that before. And I was kind of nervous about it because I wasn't used to showing my face online like that. And maybe others felt the same way too, just kind of awkward. But by now it's, almost December, and I'm very comfortable with it now because everything is online. So that was a really good experience for us, and something good that came out of it as well.
Do you think you'll continue doing that, once COVID settles down and, we get some sort of vaccine or plan in place? Is that something you'll continue to do?
I hope so, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, CeCelia?
I was just thinking when Nancy was talking about the choir rehearsing online now every Thursday morning for an hour or a little bit more. And in the past, when we did that in person, we had a sort of pre-rehearsal social time where people sort of gathered at tables and had a coffee and a snack before they went into the practice area. But now I think Zoom is, and other programs, of course, are sort of demanding some sharing in a different way. So what the choir has created, and Nancy may have been part of this, is to spotlight a member and his or her care partner, if that's pertinent, every week. So everybody is seeing and listening to one person's story for 2 or 3 minutes. And I've just gotten to know the choir members in a way that I didn't know before. I just would say, hello, good morning, I'm glad to see you here today, but, isn't it cold outside or hot outside? The usual sort of social little, talk. But in this sort of spotlight, I think it's really helped me to meet people and hear their story in more detail. And everybody in the choir is listening and seeing what the life of that person is like, at least just a little snippet of that. So it's kind of like Wilma talking with her family in a way maybe that hasn't happened before, or with Carin's connections in Germany. So in that way, I think there's quite a few silver linings, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And and with all of the bad that seems to be going on in the world, it's important to remember those things, because I know I get frustrated, sad and lonely, all of the above during this time, but it's important to remember the good things, even though it's hard sometimes, I will admit that, but like you all said, there are some silver linings, and hopefully after this, people continue to work to make those connections and work to, get to know each other a little bit better, because you all are right. We're so used to, rushing around everywhere, being busy, not getting to know, people as well as we'd like to. So it's a positive thing getting to make those connections, and thank goodness for technology. you know yeah, thank goodness.
Emily, I would like to ask you something.
Sure.
I have felt so grateful that I am in my age group because I'm not at a point in my life that is a decision-making point and I have been feeling for people who are graduating from high school or who are graduating from college or who are just in between things and how everything is delayed and obstructed. And I wonder how it's been for you with
Oh,
your
well, thanks.
your educational path.
Yes. Well, thank you for asking. It's not how I imagined, everything to be. You get into college and you think you have a plan. But of course, plans can change and things can happen. So I was explaining to Nancy, actually, I went to UW Whitewater for my undergraduate degree, and I graduated this past May, but that's when everything shut down, and I was working, like me and my friends and all of my other classmates, 4 years of, assignments and hard work and all of these memories. And, that accumulates to, a ceremony at the end of everything. And it's symbolic and it's rewarding more than anything. And I didn't get a ceremony. I didn't get this in-person ceremony. I didn't get to walk across the stage and get my diploma that way. So that was definitely hard, but kind of going back to like adapting and finding those silver linings, I was still able to celebrate, my accomplishments with my family and my friends. It just was in a way that I didn't expect, but that's okay, because the way I see it, being a person who's studying history, I'm going to look back on it and it's going to be a good story one day. And it's going to be unique to me, and what I always remind myself, like, yeah, I didn't, get to do these things, but since I'm going for my master's in history now, the hope is that I will be able to walk across the stage and get my diploma and, I think you get hooded for a master's, but I could be wrong. That might just be doctoral programs. But anyways, the way I see it is, all right, well, I'll celebrate getting my bachelor's degree then too. So walking across the stage and getting both, but it's definitely hard at times, and it's definitely lonely because I haven't gotten to meet a lot of people in my cohort for school, because everything's online. All of my classes are online and I don't get those connections that I would get in the classroom. But again, it's going back to technology and almost being creative in how I connect with people and how I get to know people that way. And it's definitely, pushed me, I think, outside of like my comfort zone and has made me adapt. So hopefully that answers a little bit of your question.
The resilience of the youth.
Keep thinking and hoping that this is creating better problem solvers in the future where we've got to think differently, and it's just nice to hear the young talking about, well, okay, if that's not going to work, then I'll try this and we'll just move on from there. So that's off to you.
Thank you. And that's all I can do. And it's okay to get frustrated and get sad about everything because yes, there are these experiences that, I'm missing out on, but it's completely out of my control. It's completely out of everyone's control, and it's not like it's just happening to me. Everyone's missing out on something. And just putting it into perspective that way too, it's a little bit better because it puts in mind like everyone is missing out on something, everyone is losing something, but again, like you were saying, Nancy, it's you learn from it and you move on and you find new ways to go about the situation, and I hope in the future that it makes me a better person and more understanding and more easygoing, go with the flow, because that's that's really all I can do. So yeah.
I heard a bell. I want
That,
I wanted to bring one more point, but are we supposed to stop now?
No, you are okay. That was my mistake. I put my computer on do not disturb, but it disturbed me. So that's confusing. No, so you are totally okay.
Other people think
Yes.
things too, but I wanted to mention, sometimes there will be a beautiful, beautiful moment or evening like the one we had with the deck concert. And whenever those happen, I always wish, oh, how can we just save it? I mean, you have a memory. People say you have your memories, but that's not good enough. And so we had this wonderful photographer there. Oh my gosh, Carin. And I didn't realize how it was all going to turn out. I knew she was there with her camera. She was here and there and all around. But then I saw the beautiful book that was a product of her photography, and it does preserve the beauty and the emotion of the evening. And I just wanted to say thank you to you, Carin. Blessings on you. It's really, really nice.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. And CeCelia and I kind of put some pages from the book and other things together, and we did submit it to the project. I don't think it's online yet because it is quite long. But I do think that for people who are going to be listening to this later, if it's, if they're able to look at it, if I may, I would like to share my screen for one picture. Is that all right?
Yes, totally.
I have it ready. Let's see. Hopefully it will work. Okay. So here's a picture that I took from the back of kind of trying to gather everything together. And this is when Flute Evolution was playing one of their pieces. So it kind of gives an idea of, how people were sitting and how the flutist, is that how I say it, were separated. So if, I think it's a good picture, a good shot of just how beautiful the day was and all the flowers, and just so that everyone can see what it looked like when we were there.
Definitely. Looks like you guys had perfect weather.
We did.
It was gorgeous. And it was so neat because the sun was shining, and as it got later on, there was a stream of sunlight that just kind of came right straight through the trees. And it was just like, oh, this is just awesome experience. It couldn't have happened at a better time.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that photo.
All right, I'm gonna stop share. There we go.
Perfect. But yes, the book that you submitted, or the document that you submitted to the archive, actually one of my jobs too as a grad student, I actually work on that archive too. So I will be processing that and uploading that as well. So that'll be a great addition to that too. So we'll have our own little collection within this collection for this deck concert, for it being the oral history and then the document that you all worked on together. So that'll be really exciting.
It's a nice, again, and I'd like to say thanks to Carin too for doing that, because being a part of it, I was constantly either playing or singing or helping, and it was constant. I never got a really chance to sit back and listen and take it all in, and so to actually see it was beautiful, was wonderful. So thank you for bringing that to me as well, Carin, through your pictures.
Well, thank you. I wish that we would have done more of video, but I was focusing on pictures, and my daughters did video with my phone, but you know how it is with kids doing videos, it's kind of all over the place. So it didn't really turn out.
And then Carin put the pictures with some text together in a book that she gave to Wayne and to me as a gift. So it was a beautiful, just a beautiful gesture on your part, Carin. Thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. It was a beautiful evening, and I really enjoyed it. So
I love hearing about all of this. It's very, very exciting. And it makes me smile because I love music myself, and just to hear that that brought you all together makes me very happy. So, well, I
I
think
didn't I didn't
that
tell anybody, but I'm just kind of cooking up an idea for Wayne and me to host songs at summer solstice, which is Monday, June 21st, in our backyard with some music. So that's all I know so far. So just stay tuned.
Are we going to have witches and druids and things like that?
Well, I don't know, Wilma. That might be a good idea. I'll ask Jenny and Elise to put something together.
I'm sure they would love to put something together about that.
Yeah, it's a Monday night. It's a Monday, the 21st of June. But so what? We can do music on Monday. There we go. Music on Monday.
Music Mondays.
Music Monday.
Sounds like perhaps a time to sing Moon Shadow.
Sorry, Nancy.
Sounds like a time to maybe sing Moon Shadow. Wayne's working on that one.
Yeah. A Cat Stevens song.
Well, very nice. Yeah, hopefully that turns into a annual
Yeah.
event. So,
Well, Wilma's hosted beautiful recitals over the years. So we just have to kind of look at different ways and additional ways to make that happen.
mhm. Well, very nice. Cool. Well, we've been talking for about an hour, I think now, which is exciting. So if you all have any last points that you would like to make, you are welcome to do that. But I do think a lot of great stories and insights were shared. So yeah, it's really up to you all. If there's anything you would like to say to finish this up, by all means, or if not, I will stop our interview.
Sorry about the pooch. He was supposed to be in the laundry room. I think somehow he got out.
That is okay. My dog earlier was whining because nobody was petting him. So it's they have a tough time.
Mhm.
They're very used to having us home all the time.
Yes. They are for sure.
Yeah, I know I've gotten a lot more dog walking in since March than I had before. They're getting a lot more attention.
Yes. And I know they love it too. All right.
Thank you, Emily, for taking us on and all the prep work and the interviewing here and making it all happen. We really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. And good luck to you in grad school.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I will definitely keep in touch with all of you. And if you would like, I would happily send you the interview recording if you would like just to have it for your own record or watching back on. But it will be in the archive too. So, yeah. So, thank you for meeting with me as well. I really appreciate it. So, all right. Well,
Bye, everybody.
bye. Thank you.